My name is M. Collins. I am 33 years old. 3 weeks ago, I went to pick up my daughter Emma from school like I had done hundreds of times before. I expected her to run toward me with her backpack bouncing and that big smile on her face. Instead, her teacher stepped in front of me and gently blocked my way. She lowered her voice and whispered, "Ma'am, Emma said she doesn't want to go home with you alone." For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. My own daughter stood behind her teacher, holding her hand tightly, looking at me like I was a stranger. That was the moment I realized something had happened to my child, and whatever I was about to uncover would change my life forever. Before I tell you what actually happened, please like and subscribe if this story earns it. Now let's begin. I stood frozen in the school hallway, trying to understand what I had just heard. Emma's teacher kept her hand gently on my daughter's shoulder, almost protectively. Emma wouldn't look at me. That hurt more than anything. Usually, she ran into my arms the moment she saw me. She would talk nonstop about school, friends, drawings, and snacks. But that day, she stayed behind her teacher like she was hiding. "Emma," I said softly, forcing a smile. "Sweetheart, it's Mom. Let's go home." She shook her head slightly. My chest tightened. The teacher gave me an apologetic look. "Mrs. Collins," she said carefully, "Emma has been telling us she feels unsafe leaving school unless another adult comes with you." Unsafe. The word echoed inside my head. "I don't understand," I said quickly. "There must be some mistake." The teacher guided me a few steps away so Emma couldn't hear. "She's been worried for a few weeks," she explained. "She told us you forget things, that you get confused sometimes, and that someone warned her not to go alone with you." My hands started shaking. Forget things? Confused? That wasn't true. I was healthy. I worked full-time. I took care of everything. I forced a calm smile even though my chest felt tight. After talking for several minutes and answering their questions, the school finally allowed Emma to leave with me. The walk to the car felt different. Usually Emma talked nonstop about her day. That afternoon, she stayed quiet. She kept looking out the window. Halfway home, I asked gently, "Emma, why didn't you want to come with me today?" She hesitated, then said quietly, "I was just doing what I was told." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Told by who?" She shrugged. "I don't know. They just said it was important." That answer stayed in my head the entire drive. Someone had told my daughter not to trust me, and she believed them. At home, I tried to act normal. We had dinner. We watched television. I helped her with homework. But I kept noticing small changes. Emma watched me carefully, like she was checking whether I would forget something, like she was waiting for me to act strange. That night, while putting her school things away, I opened her backpack. Inside her notebook, I found a folded piece of paper. It wasn't Emma's handwriting. It was neat, adult writing. One sentence only. "Remember what we talked about. Stay careful." A cold feeling ran through me. This wasn't imagination. Someone was talking to my child behind my back. Someone was planting fear inside her. I asked Emma about the note. She looked confused. "I think someone gave it to me," she said. "Who?" "I don't remember." That answer scared me even more, because Emma had never hidden things from me before. That night I barely slept. I kept replaying every moment from the last few weeks. Had I missed something? Had someone been visiting when I wasn't home? Had Emma been told stories about me? One thing became painfully clear. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a school mistake. Someone was slowly trying to make my own daughter afraid of me, and whoever was doing it knew exactly how to do it without me noticing. The next morning, I decided not to confront Emma again. She was a child. She wasn't the problem. Someone else was. Instead, I started paying attention. Real attention. Small things began to stand out. Emma suddenly refused to stay alone with me in certain rooms. She asked strange questions like, "Mom, do you forget things a lot? Do doctors help people when their brain gets sick?" Every question felt like a needle pushing deeper into my chest. Someone had been telling her I was unstable. But who would do something like that? At school, the teacher mentioned that another family member sometimes picked Emma up early during the past month. My heart skipped. I never allowed anyone else to do pickups without telling me. "Who signed her out?" I asked. The teacher checked the records. The name written there made my stomach drop. It was my mother-in-law. She had written that she was helping because I was under stress. I forced a smile and thanked the teacher, but inside, confusion turned into fear. Why would she say that? That afternoon, I called her casually. She sounded warm as always. Too warm. Oh yes, she said lightly. I just wanted to help you. You looked tired lately. I hadn't seen her in weeks. How could she know that? Something felt wrong. That evening, Emma mentioned visiting her grandmother after school a few times. She says I should be brave, Emma told me while coloring. Brave about what? I asked carefully. Emma hesitated, then whispered, in case you forget me one day. The room felt silent, heavy. I smiled so Emma wouldn't notice my shock, but inside everything connected. The notes, the fear, the school warnings. Someone had been slowly convincing my daughter that I was becoming unsafe. Not suddenly, carefully, step by step, like planting a seed. That night, I checked Emma's tablet. I wasn't searching for secrets. I was searching for answers. There were voice messages saved from her grandmother, short recordings, soft voice, gentle tone, but the words chilled me. Sweetheart, sometimes adults get sick in their minds. If mommy acts strange, you must tell teachers. You have to protect yourself. I sat there staring at the screen. She wasn't attacking me directly. She was shaping Emma's thoughts, making my daughter doubt me without ever saying I was dangerous. It was clever, terrifyingly clever. And suddenly another memory came back to me. A conversation weeks earlier. My mother-in-law had asked strange questions about custody laws. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now it felt different. This wasn't kindness. This wasn't concern. This was preparation. Someone wasn't just trying to scare my daughter. They were building a story where I looked unstable, a story that could be used against me. And for the first time, a terrifying thought crossed my mind. What if this wasn't only about Emma? What if someone was trying to take her away from me completely? I realized I couldn't react emotionally. If I confronted anyone too early, they would deny everything. So I stayed calm. I acted normal. I hugged Emma tighter that night. I told her stories. I reminded her she was safe with me. But inside, I made a decision. I would watch. I would wait. And I would find proof. Because now I understood one thing clearly. This wasn't random. It was a plan. And I needed to know how far it had already gone. I stopped reacting. Instead, I started preparing. For the next few days, I watched carefully. I documented everything. Every school record, every message, every unusual visit. I even spoke quietly with the school counselor and explained that Emma had suddenly become afraid of me. They agreed to help observe without alarming anyone. Meanwhile, I acted completely normal around my mother-in-law. I smiled. I thanked her for helping, and that seemed to make her comfortable. Too comfortable. A week later, she invited me to dinner. I think we should talk about Emma's future, she said gently. The words sounded innocent, but my instinct screamed. I went anyway. Dinner started normally. Then she sighed dramatically and placed her hand over mine. You know, she said softly, parenting alone is very hard. Sometimes children need stability. I stayed silent. She continued, I worry about Emma. She seems confused lately, scared sometimes. There it was. She was planting the story directly. Now, I asked calmly, what are you trying to say? She hesitated, then spoke carefully. Maybe Emma should stay with me for a while, just until things settle. My chest tightened. This wasn't concern. This was the goal. She believed I was already weakened enough to agree. What she didn't know was that I had already learned everything. I took a deep breath. Then I placed my phone on the table and pressed play. Emma's tablet recordings filled the room, her voice clear, gentle, manipulative. If mommy forgets things, you must tell teachers. If mommy scares you, grandma will protect you. The color drained from her face. She tried to speak, but no words came out. I know what you've been doing, I said quietly. You weren't helping Emma, you were teaching her to fear me. Her expression hardened. For a moment, the kindness disappeared. You're overreacting, she snapped. I only want what's best for her. No, I replied calmly. You want custody. Silence fell between us. And that silence was her answer. She believed if Emma appeared afraid of me, authorities might question my parenting. She thought she could slowly replace me, not by force, but by doubt. The next day, I presented everything to a family lawyer and the school administration. The recordings, The pickup logs, the false statements. The school immediately restricted all unsupervised contact. Legally, officially, she could no longer interfere. When Emma learned the truth weeks later, explained gently in therapy, she cried in my arms. "I thought you were getting sick," she whispered. I held her tightly. "You can always ask me the truth," I told her. And slowly, the fear disappeared. Trust came back. Laughter returned to our home. Months passed. Peace finally settled into our lives again. One afternoon, Emma ran toward me after school exactly the way she used to. Backpack bouncing, big smile, arms open, and in that moment, I realized something important. The scariest betrayals don't always come from enemies. Sometimes they come from people who smile while trying to take your place. But love, real love, cannot be rewritten by lies. Because no matter what anyone tried to convince her, I was still her mother, and no one could take that away. Do subscribe.